Welcome to another edition of Thought Leaders Live, where we talk with thought leaders in business, life, and all points in between. Today, we're going to be talking about business specifically with Mike Bertoni, who is the founder and CEO of SaaS Talent. We're gonna break down how top SaaS companies are building and scaling AI first go-to-market teams across the U.S. and Latin America. And I've seen Mike post about this. Very intriguing. And Mike, first of all, welcome to the show and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Greg, really appreciate this. Thank you so much for what you do and getting the good word out. So yeah, I'm the founder and CEO of SaaS Talent, and we've got over 25 years helping tech and SaaS. A lot of people think SaaS is going away. It's not going away. It's not going anywhere, but there are AI first SaaS companies. So we're focused in tech, we're focused in SaaS and AI, and just here to help.
Yeah, and I think there's so much with the AI world today. People making all these bold predictions about what's going to, there are all these absolutes too. And the simple truth is we really don't know. We're all in this experimental mode, but a lot of people are doing things and working with AI to get some amazing results and doing some really significant things. And I think we're going to get into that in just a minute. But
Yeah.
Mike, you kind of gave us a high level of what you do. Maybe give us a little bit more of a background about yourself and your journey and what's brought you to this point.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. So I have always been in business development, sales, and really growth for helping SaaS and tech leaders grow. So before I started my company, I worked at companies like Oracle. I worked at companies like Jive Software. I worked at companies like actually Google acquired Apogee. So I was a sales leader, a business development leader in SaaS and tech products, so software products, as well as services. So I did custom software development for many years. I did infrastructure for many years and sold software for many years. So yeah, I mean, I was always just a growth agent, right? So I'd come in, I was a quota carrying AE, head of business development, just always working in SaaS and tech companies. So that's my background. My background's really in growth, and go to market is obviously a word we're all hearing now, but we weren't actually saying it back then. It was more about business development and growth. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm all about. I'm all about helping companies grow. That's what all my experience is based on that. I've got a really broad set of background across application development, software, infrastructure, cloud, all these different areas around growth.
Okay. So then tell me a little bit about how you're more into the recruiting end of things now and the personnel end. Tell me about that transformation more to the talent side.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started my company, so company's 11 years old. When I started my company, I did sales consulting, I did custom software development, and I did recruiting. So that is a lot of things. So I was working with coaches and they were telling me, Mike, you really got to focus on something here. If you don't focus, you're going to go out of your mind. So about 6 years ago, I said recruiting and talent. That's where I'm going to focus. And so, yes, we are an industry leading recruiting and talent acquisition company. We work primarily with SaaS and tech and AI founders and co-founders and leaders. That's our ICP. We help them get amazing talent in the United States or Latin America. And kind of a breakdown from that is go-to-market talent. So go-to-market talent is going to be sales. It's going to be lead generation, right? It's going to be people that grow the company, like marketing people, those types of people. So go-to-market talent, and then tech and AI talent, right? So what is really working right now? United States is all about hard to find talent. Hard to find talent. So people used to come to us, Greg, all the time for engineers and developers and, customer success managers, and that we still do that, but it's more leaders. It's more head of sales, head of marketing, head of customer success, head of technology, head of product. It's more executive leaders in those spaces, and then key people that are harder to find. So if people want to find people locally, like in their region, where they're like, I have all these hires, but I want people to be in office like 4 days a week or 3 days a week. We source and get those people because that's the United States. But what is exploding beyond exploding, Greg, is Latin America. So we're the one of the only companies in the world that does go to market talent in Latin America and the United States. So we're getting you your sales, marketing, lead generation, executive support, EAs that do sales and marketing. It's exploding. And I just talked to one of my colleagues about this, Greg. The reason why it's exploding is the amount of people that are building in tech right now that has shot up like thousands of percent, right? So you can pick up a tool like Lovable, right? Or like Cursor or like Claude, and you could build a thing. You could build a thing. Do you know how to sell a thing? You know how to get leads? Do you know? No. I mean, Greg, you know this. Like people don't know how to do this stuff. So they need talent in the biggest way, but they don't have tons of money, right? They can't hire a $125 to $150,000 salesperson in the United States, right? They just started out. So they're coming to us in Latin America, and we are exploding. We're hiring about 4 or 5 people a month for clients in Latin America, and it is growing like crazy.
So these are companies based in Latin America?
No, this is so our ICP is Canadian and North American. So it's United States and Canada. It's SaaS, tech, AI leaders, founders, co-founders. So we've always worked with founders and co-founders in those areas, but we also work with the head of people. We work with the CRO. We work with the CMO. We work with all those people. So it is SaaS, tech, AI companies in the United States and Canada where they're coming to us and they need talent, right? They need talent in the United States or they need talent in Latin America.
Okay. And some of the talent coming out of Latin America, I mean, I think a lot of people, when you look at talent outside the states, you're thinking, the preconception might be, I'm going to get somebody in super cheap. I'm going to get them to do some very simple tasks. It sounds like you're talking about some more high level skill sets, though.
Yeah. So let me give you a use case.
Yeah.
So our client, Openbaum, who's based in Boston, we hired a 7-person go-to-market team for them in Latin America. We hired a VP of sales in Mexico. Now, let me explain to you something. A lot of people have these preconceived notions of what would that person look like? That person was in Great Britain, married a woman in Cancun, lives there now. Obviously, cost of living is unbelievably less expensive. His comp plan is 50% less than what a comp plan would be in the United States. However, he is just, if you met him, you just be like, oh, that's just a really great salesperson that's from like England. And, so that's, there's people you can find in Latin America. We find them for you. We source and find them. But it's also, it's heads of sales, it's SDRs. So the biggest thing about talent in Latin America, the biggest thing, what everybody knows about sales, when they really know about sales, is you need it in the belly here. In order to do sales and do it every day, make 150 calls a day, or, talk to people and get rejected constantly, like you need to have some inner fortitude. People in Latin America, they want to work for US companies. They're excited. They're pumped. They want to work, but then they also have the skills. Experienced SDRs that know how to generate leads. Experienced full life cycle BDRs, business development reps, AEs, VPs of sales, experienced marketing people, heads of marketing. There's just not many companies, Greg, that are focused in this. They're focused in tech, engineering, development. Been doing that for years. India, Eastern Europe, Latin America. There's nobody focused. There are companies focused in go-to-market talent, sure. But the background that I have, where I started as an SDR, I started as a BDR, I came up through the ranks and know what it takes.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying now. I mean, I think I'm glad you defined that, gave us a little more background and a great example of the Brit who's living in Mexico. That's really good. Before we move further, though, can we just talk a little bit about probably the elephant in the room, and that's just the whole um, the public perception around SaaS companies, especially with AI. And you mentioned like Claude and people, anybody lovable, somebody has some of these tools, they boom, they're a SaaS company overnight. Where do you stand on the whole state of SaaS right now, with all the amazing advancements in AI and the coding capability and the whole nine yards?
Right. So SaaS is going to be around for a long time. Definitely. If you're a SaaS company out there, you need to build AI first SaaS. What that many times means is re-architecting your product and becoming AI first, becoming AI native, right? Right now, when you go into a product, it's okay. People aren't going to be expecting the AI thing to be on the side here, asking it questions like things like that. But a year from now, 12 months from now, your customers are going to be like, where is that? And I can maybe build this thing that we're using myself. Why should I work with you? So, what SaaS leaders all around have to be thinking about is I need to build AI first, AI native. So when my customers come in, they're starting to talk to AI, chat with AI, get AI to help them, because you know what? You got to have that, because it's going to be expected in all products. And then again, what's going to happen is people are just going to build like, hey, I just built your product with Claude. Right? Literally. Greg, if you go into Claude today and you ask it to build you a CRM, right? Now that's going to probably be a SMB type CRM, right? It's not going to be it's not going to replace Salesforce. I mean, Salesforce is a CRM, but Salesforce it's integrated into, like, you have all these products integrated into it. It has connections to everything. But yeah, for like, if you go into Claude, say, I need a simple CRM for my business, blah, blah, blah. I've got 5 employees. Turn that on, it builds it for you. Right? So, so the SMB market, right? Yeah, if your market is the SMB market, ooh, right?
Yeah.
You better be thinking about what your moat is, right? Your moat, for those who don't know it, it's why should they work with you compared to build it themselves? There's going to be many, many conversations over the next few years. Why are we paying this company this much money to do this stuff? Can we just, hey, Mr. CIO or CTO, can't we just build this Microsoft product ourselves? Can't we just build this thing, blah, 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 ourselves? Right. And then people are going to get back to, and Greg, if you're old enough like me, build versus buy.
Right.
People are going to get back to build versus buy. Do I build this myself, or do I buy it?
Right.
Now it's going to be, what's interesting, there's going to be 3. Build it myself, right? Build it or buy, right? Or there's going to be people that build tools. There's going to be like building it yourself is going to be literally building yourself with Claude, or probably Claude, right? Or tools like Claude. But then you're going to use maybe somebody else's product that they built, or you're going to buy, or that they built with Claude, right? So it's like somebody else built the thing, they're charging it, like they're using that. So it's like the build versus buy, or buy the vendor that has an actual product. So it's going to become ubiquitous. Like you're not going to know if it was built by Claude or not built by Claude, right? So the enterprise is always going to have
Yeah.
more requirements around security. All right, so enterprise sales reps are going to create a ton of FUD for their customer. Like, do you really want to like build this yourself? I mean, you got
Yeah.
millions of dollars here that you're investing in. Like, so there's going to be FUD, but there's going to be pieces and parts. I mean, I worked at a company, Greg, if you remember, called Computer Associates, right?
Oh yeah.
Computer Associates, their business model was literally built on MIPS. And as the MIPS in the mainframe went up, the software just costs more money, right? So there's going to be times now where people are just going to start evaluating everything. They're spending a lot of money on software. They're going to be thinking about it.
Okay. Thanks for that overview and maybe grounding in reality. Let's jump back into the go-to-market teams that we're talking about. And one thing I think is kind of interesting as you're discussing, as you were mentioning all this, I was thinking about culture and scaling across multiple regions. And what does that look like? And what are the problems that people run into, and how do you solve them?
Yeah, I mean, when you're early stage, right? So when you're an early stage company, which there again are thousands and thousands more early stage companies that need help. So we've built a framework for go to market talent, and I'm going to describe it to you here, Greg. And I launched this over the last few months. It's on my website. You could check it out. We work with customers to understand where their pain points are, right? So we work with SaaS, we work with tech founders, we understand where their pain points are that they want to grow and they want to scale. And then we meet the resources. So let me give you an idea of what these resources are, because people aren't familiar with them. So we have EAs. So most people don't really understand what a great EA is. A great EA typically will give you marketing support, will give you sales support, will give you ops support, will give you project support. EAs will change your business. EAs in Latin America are super inexpensive, right? There's a book that I recommend to everybody called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. It changed a lot of what I'm doing. So EA. So the cornerstone of a company's growth is getting support from someone, right? Some type of executive assistant, some type of virtual assistant, something there. That's foundational. Then you have an SDR, right? SDRs are experienced lead generators that know how to do omni-channel lead generation across phone, across email, across LinkedIn, across sequences. They know how to do it. They're experienced. So that's the SDR. Then it is the BDR. The BDR is a full life cycle salesperson. They know how to do all the things the SDR knows how to do. And then they also know how to bring in deals. They know how to generate revenue, hold a quota, right? So that's a BDR. Now we created a position, Greg, in the framework called an MDR, a market development rep. So a market development rep is equal parts SDR and marketing, right? Like where they could help you with content, they could help you with your website, they could help you with SEO, they could help you with all that stuff that a marketing person can do. And they could also help you with lead generation, breaking down doors, generating leads. Then customer success rep, so that use case is I've got 15 customers, I got 20 customers, I've got people they manage these customers, grow these customers, right? So we have the customer success rep. Then we have marketing experts across different verticals. So the marketing expert that really knows how to do SEO, the marketing expert that really knows how to do ads, the marketing expert that really knows how to run campaigns, right? All across go to market on marketing. Then you have solution engineers, solution architects. Solution engineers and architects, these are the people that work with the salespeople to do proposals, to do demos, to basically help support the salesperson specifically to help them scale, right? So we created this go-to-market framework where we understand your problems, we understand your issues, we understand that you want to grow, and then we're meeting specific people to what you want to do to help you scale, right? So it's and working on your budget, working on your price points. And we could go down to specific countries where if you're like, I want to focus in Colombia, or I want to focus in Mexico, or I want to focus in Argentina, or I want to focus in Brazil, wherever you want to focus. So you're like, I don't care where they are, right? And we go down even deeper than that, where if you're like, I want to set up an office, right? I want to eventually hire these people full-time. So all these things are part of the framework. And then layered on top of the framework, Greg, when you're a client, you get full access to my network. So we meet every month. And my objective is to help get you in the door and actually get you leads from my network. You get access to my community. So you become part of my SaaS and tech growth meetup community. You become a speaker, right? You could speak at my events. You could be on panels at my events, right? So you get a whole host of other benefits when you become a client. We don't just give you a resource and say, here you go.
That's great. That sounds fantastic. Tell me a little bit. I just want to circle back one more time though to the is there some cultural issues that maybe you run into, or when, like, let's say you get the team, okay, Mike, we're good to go. Give me that GTM team, build out all those positions you just mentioned. What's it look like when you move forward? How do you maintain the culture? How does it work once
Yeah,
you're underway?
it's real simple, really, really simple. So we bring these people on full time with us. They're full time in my team. I looked at my payroll actually a few weeks ago, and I have 34 people on my team, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how do we have 34 people on our team? So that we bring them on full time in our team. We onboard them, we coach, we mentor them. You don't have they realize they work for you full time. They work for you full time, right? You don't have to worry about anything but paying your invoice to us. We take care of all the payment to them, all the commissions to them, everything. They just have to get the results. So we have become a GTM consultancy for our clients. We're not only helping negotiate the salaries, we're helping negotiate the comp plans, right? So all they have to do is go in and hit their goals, do what they're supposed to do, right? We pay them on your behalf. You just have to pay your invoice every month. You don't have to worry about health benefits. You don't have to worry about anything. So culture fit, right? You are interviewing and hiring these people, Greg. So there's no typically, we have misses every once in a while. Obviously, it's not
Sure.
always like, oh, this is perfect. But
Yeah.
you're interviewing and hiring people just like you would if you thought of a great experience in the United States. You're interviewing and hiring you're interviewing and hiring people. Like if you don't like them, you don't have to hire them. We're not just giving you people.
I want to bring up something. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who was from India, and we were talking about outsourcing. And it was kind of an interesting comment because I think I was talking to him about the great amount of outsourcing of the engineers and things like that. And he said something interesting to me. He said, I said, I'm in marketing. Are you developing a lot of marketing folks over there? And he said, that's the one area where America seems to have this kind of edge. It's in the sales and marketing arena. So, how do you feel it is down in Latin America? I mean, to me, that's like, well, we grow up in America. We're just marketers here all the time. Everybody's a salesperson in America, I feel like. Tell me about is there any kind of cultural issues like that with the Latin America?
Right. So I'll tell you some of the most important things about sales. Anybody listening to this right now, the most important thing about sales is the fire in the belly.
Yeah.
And what Latin America has in spades is the fire in the belly.
Hmm.
That I want to work for a US company and I'm excited to be here. Okay, great. So you have that. You need that. You need that in the United States too. But how many people are complacent and they're like, "Oh, I'm making a lot of money, I'm fine." Like I don't
Yeah.
this so that's important. English. English, we have English assessments and tools we use to assess English at C1 levels and better. So English is always important for our clients. So we bring on people that make C1 and better. And then they have specific, like, not many people just realize that Latin America's been doing this for years, right? If you have great English, fire in the belly, and you've been doing it for like 1 or 2 years, like these people exist like in droves. And so we're making sure we interview, screen, get these people that have the fire, that have the motivation, that have the English speaking, which is so important, right? There is a little bit of an accent. Don't get me
Sure.
wrong, there's a little bit of an accent, but not much. Not much to tell you. There are some that have more than others, but nobody really cares if it's a little bit, right? It's just like your friend down the street that's from Latin America that speaks a little bit like with the Latin America accent, but it's more specific about the domain, full life cycle sales experience, quota carrying, knows how to make 150 calls a day. Give a person a dialer. They already know how to do it because they've experienced doing it, right? So there are lots and lots of people that can't speak great English. Sure, we don't we don't bring them on board, right? They have to have the fire in the belly. They have to have the great English. And then when you're talking to this person, you just think, yeah, they're just like a person in my neighborhood that's like got a little bit of a Latin American accent.
Well, what are some mistakes, Mike, that people make if they are going to try and do this on their own and go do an Upwork application or something like that? Where have you seen people go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you want, a lot of people on Upwork have other priorities, right? Upwork is typically an hourly thing where people have other projects.
Yeah.
Um, if you, that's a problem, right? Unless you want that. But then you really want someone that it depends on what you want. Like a lot of clients, like, do you want hourly? If you're gonna just get hourly, all right, there's gonna be some issues with that because they're not gonna be dedicated to you. If you want full time, right, you have to work with them to ensure that they are full time. You have to have contracts, approved contracts and agreements in country, right? Not some Upwork thing that they sign, right? You have approved, right? You're checking in on them, right? You have a process to check in with them daily, weekly, all these things. The biggest thing, Greg, I'd say the biggest thing is onboarding. People don't know how to onboard people. They don't, especially if they're like small companies, which are a lot of these companies. Like you're like, oh, I want this resource. Okay, finding the resource, getting them in, selling them on working for your company, right? Blah blah blah. Great, great. Are you going to get a caliber talent? Probably not, because you don't know how to do it. Then, if you happen to get a caliber talent, do you know how to onboard them so they're successful? Do you know how to onboard them in 30, 60, 90 days? These are the most important things for any job, just to tell you. People fail in the first few weeks. They're drinking from a fire hose, right? They go off the cliff and they die and they could have been great. Oh, they were so great in the interview. Oh, the resume was so great. What happened? Well, they had a family issue that you didn't know of that happened in the first weeks. These things happen. Um, they fell off the rails. You didn't onboard them correctly, and they're gone, right? So we have a support structure that we've created internally. right? You get a buddy. You also have a person that you work with on the team like you. So we are ensuring that the person has maximum support, which is somewhat the most important thing these days is, do you have an onboarding program? Yes, no. Are you supporting them? Like, is someone on your team supporting them? All these things, right? So we check and balance all these things to make sure the person is successful. And we still, there's
Yeah.
still issues all the time.
Well, you're dealing with human beings, so you're going to have that. But Mike, we're at the top of the hour. This is really a intriguing approach and concept. If somebody wants to work with you and build their own GTM team from Latin America, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So you could always go to my website, SaaS, SaaS -talent.com. You could hit contact